Hello, hello, and welcome back to Sikich Live on this beautiful Thursday afternoon in Chicago, Illinois. Glad to be here today. Now, before I bring on our guest, do want to mention that we really love questions. That's why we come to you live each week. So make sure to get those questions into the chat. Don't be shy. We really want to be able to dive into this topic and keep it very conversational, very casual. Today we're talking all about modern workplace, but I'm going to get to that in a second. If you haven't heard of Sikich before, we're an accounting, advisory, and technology digital consultancy helping to transform the world that we all work in. Now, Sikich has many specialty areas like business and modern workplace applications. We're going to get to more of that in a second, including ERP and CRM, managed services, IT infrastructure support, cybersecurity, and so much more. Now, the workplace has changed in so many ways that no one expected a year and a half now. How long have we been into the pandemic now? But as modern workplace changes, our needs change for those technology systems. So today we have Frank Brown joining us from Sikich. He's going to talk to us more about what these modern workplace applications are from Microsoft and how it can help enhance your work from home employees, how you communicate with your staff, even how your staff works and collaborates in person as well. So, Frank, really glad that you could be here with us today.
Yeah, glad to be back. It's great to see you again.
So why don't we just jump right into it? So I kept mentioning this word, right? Modern workplace.
Yeah.
But who the heck knows what modern workplace actually means? I think you can do a much better job of explaining it for us.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. If you Google modern workplace, you're going to get so many results that you're probably going to leave still confused what modern workplace is. So maybe you think, all right, well, modern, I know that's things involving recent techniques, methods, or ideas. And then I'll throw that with workplace, which, well, that's a place where you work. So, is that a modern workplace? And it kind of is that, but it's so much more. A better way to understand it is a modern workplace is being able to work securely from anywhere on any device using tools that enhance the quality and effectiveness of your work. That's the best way that I can um, understand it. And is it okay for me to throw a couple facts at you real quick, just involving, you kind of mentioned it.
Yep,
Um, Things
absolutely.
have changed so drastically. So
Mhm.
I was reading a Forbes article, and when asked to come on Sikich Live, it kind of came back to me. Since 2005, there's been a 140% growth in remote work with non-self-employed workers. That increase in workers that were telecommuting between 2017 and 2018 increased another 22%. And that wasn't even factoring in the global pandemic, which, according to some estimates, have taken all those stats and 3x them. So more than ever, providing a modern workplace has become super, super crucial for employers.
Yeah. Who knew what modern really meant until now, right?
Right.
I
Yeah,
think modern
exactly.
2 years ago and modern today is quite different, and
Mhm.
so many people are coming to Sikich, coming to providers just like us with, "What do we do? We had a million new remote workers, and we didn't have the right system set up. It wasn't a modern workplace," right?
Right.
So so how getting to my second question, how do you communicate with your coworkers and staff within a modern workplace, within the technology that's offered to us?
Yeah, really, a great way to communicate with, staff and coworkers um, is Teams. I really almost do all my communications internally via
Mhm.
Teams. My email has drastically reduced. And what's great about the Teams aspect is I can chat with someone via my computer, the Teams application. I can, maybe I'm on the road and I have the Teams application on my phone. I can communicate with people there. Maybe I don't have anything. Maybe everything's, my phone's dead, and I go to the library to get connected. I can go to the Teams web app and now I'm connected again. So the Teams application is a huge way for us to communicate, together. And you can go from a chat, really, and maybe that turns into a phone call, and then maybe while you're on the phone call, that turns into a share. You're sharing your screen, and then maybe while you're sharing the screen, you say, "Hey, let's add someone," and get somebody else involved. So as you can see, it's a great way to communicate and collaborate.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you on the email front. Ever since, we fully adopted Teams even well before the pandemic happened.
Mhm.
We were at Sikich, we were really already in it, and I had seen just then how much my emails drastically went away, my internal emails, because
Right.
we were able to take care of things in chat, right? We were able to go into a Teams channel and communicate on a um, it's similar to like a social media platform where you can comment and like and all those types of things. So it's made my life so much easier without so much email, right?
Yeah, and that's, a lot of us have had email fatigue. We
Oh,
know we know what it feels like,
yep,
uh, to come back to your computer and have 250 emails unread. So being able to communicate internally and knowing that, hey, I need to reach out to Mike, and I know it's going to be a yes or no answer. I don't even
mhm,
have to send you an email. I can just, oh, okay, he's available. Hey,
exactly.
Mike, here's my question, and you reply, and it's instantly done, and we move on with our day, rather than sending an email. Now we have to wait for a reply,
Right.
and you get interrupted when you see that come up.
Yeah, there's so many tasks that you do throughout a day where it just needs a quick 2 minute. It's a quick 2 minute task, right? We just want to
Right.
chat it really quickly, and be able to get it done rather than waiting for the email and going through your email list of things that you have to do as your to do list, which they say you shouldn't really do, but we
Right.
do it anyway. Um, yeah, I'm a huge fan of Teams, so I'm very biased,
Yes.
of course, but it's really an incredible product. So anyway, let me get into more of my questions I have for you.
Yeah.
How do clients, let's say external, right? So we talked a
Mhm.
little bit about um, internally communicating in being remote, let's say. So how do clients and others reach you if you don't have that desk phone? You're not in person at that office.
Right. Yeah. So many of us were familiar with having to have that desk phone,
Mhm.
and then maybe when we were out of the office, we knew that we had to forward it to our cell phone. Um, but really, with Teams and what's called Microsoft Voice, that same Teams application now becomes our phone. So we no longer have a physical phone. We have the Teams application on our computer, the Teams mobile app, or even the web can become your phone when you log into Teams there. And at that point, the headset I'm wearing is my phone essentially. And then when I'm on the road, it rings on my iPhone, and I throw my AirPods in, and I'm communicating that way as well. So and the great thing about it is you're available if you want to be available. A lot of people think, well, great, like then now I can never get away from work, but you're able to set your status, and your status will decide whether it's going to ring to your cell phone or if it's going to go to voicemail, things like that.
Yeah. And even internally as well, you can set your status if you're focusing on a certain project. You can even say, hey, I'm working on something right now, I'll get back to you in a bit. So you're not constantly getting those chat messages and being bombarded with anything, but you can deal with it on your own time as well.
Yeah, Microsoft has a great feature, in their and the Outlook application, actually, where you can
Mhm.
actually schedule reoccurring focus time, and that
Yeah.
focus time makes you do not disturb during that period of time, and it schedules it for me automatically Monday through Friday, and I absolutely love it. It's either a solid hour or a solid 2 hours where I'm catching up, I'm getting through things, and
Yeah.
doing without interruption.
It's a really cool AI function that they have
Hmm.
that determines your best time to have that focus time.
Yeah.
I mean, Microsoft innovation. I can't even.
Great.
So now, what about accessing just your everyday work items, right? Applications, files, PowerPoints, Excels. the whole slew.
Yeah, we like to think about it in a couple ways. You have your file server, and then you have your My Documents. Um, and so you have the things that you're sharing with the organization versus your own personal work things. So what we like to do is the Teams application, which for those who don't know, Teams is actually built on top of SharePoint. So whatever you're doing in Teams actually is in SharePoint and a part of a SharePoint library. So your file server essentially can be moved to Teams, and now we can access those files via Teams wherever we're at. As long as we can log in, we can access our files, or SharePoint, we can use the SharePoint libraries. Now for our My Documents, now we can convert to OneDrive. And now our My Documents can be that OneDrive, so we're always able to access our personal work files from OneDrive. And then again, with everything in Teams, now we're able to collaborate with all those documents within Teams as well.
Mm-hmm. So if you're talking about these documents and all these things that we store,
Yeah.
um, storing them, of course, requires security behind it. There's a lot of confidential things that you wouldn't want any other company to have. So if people are no longer in the office, how does that company organization keep all that data secure?
Yeah, sometimes the cloud is becoming more and more familiar to people.
Yeah.
It used to be voodoo to think I'm going to take my on-prem servers and put them in the cloud. Like, why would I do that? And now it's starting to make more and more sense to do that, just out of the cost of renewing your hardware and everything that goes into managing your own environment physically. Now, the security aspect, Microsoft has built so many layers of security within the Microsoft suite. So where we always start with is the multi-factor authentication, MFA, 2FA, however you want to say it, and that's where, instead of just your traditional password, where you log in, you type in one password, and now you're into the account. Now you type that password in, and you're prompted for that next level, that 6-digit code, or maybe that pop-up that pops up on your phone, and you have to approve or decline. That's the first layer, and then you can continue that security thought process and add conditional access. Maybe I want to make so that unless you are a part of our domain, or your device is being managed by Intune, for example, you're not allowed to access certain applications or certain files. Or maybe you're allowed to access those files, but you're not allowed to download them. It's view only. So conditional access is very, very powerful. And it's something that we can do with the Azure Active Directory Premium 1 license. And really, for any organization that's under 300 employees, I would be looking at Microsoft 365 Business Premium. It
Mhm.
comes with the AAD P1, and just a slew of benefits with that licensing. So start there, and really think about it this way. Some people get scared of having Teams in the cloud, their files on Teams, and then now that's their phone. And they're using OneDrive, and they're worried that this one login now has access to all these different things. But think about the traditional way that we used to do things. Some people had 3, 4, 5 accounts. They had their QuickBooks accounts, they had their Office account, maybe they had another login to a business critical application.
Yeah.
Now, when we combined our Microsoft login with multi-factor authentication, and then top single sign-on there, now we're
Mhm.
using one login for all of our applications, and it's protected by this multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
So, it's really powerful, and all of a sudden now you're not only protecting your files, but you're protecting your business critical applications as well.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's as easy as it's very secure, but it's as easy as the Microsoft Authenticator app coming up on my Apple Watch, and I just click approve, and I'm able to
Hmm.
get and access everything through that as well. So
Exactly.
it's secure, but it's not overly complex to use at
Right.
all either. And I always go back to this kind of analogy that you know, Mike security in the cloud has been Microsoft has spent billions and billions of dollars. That's not something that a typical company can usually do, to make sure that their on premises servers are secure, right? So the cost, that Microsoft puts into it, and how they keep up with it is really extraordinary.
It is, and now you're joining a force where instead of just being this 200 person organization or 50-person organization, and to your point, spending all this money on security, you're
Yeah.
joining Microsoft, who already has that framework in place, and they have user agreements with you that says we're going to help you protect your data. So, um, you go through all those steps, and yeah, to your point, you're definitely in a much better place than you would be
Mhm.
if, say, your servers were still on premise and you're on an exchange server, for example.
Sure. So we talked a lot about modern workplace today, right?
Hmm.
Especially Teams. I think that's a natural hub for all things modern workplace at Microsoft. Everything, whether it's your Microsoft 365 applications, your Office applications, security, files, it all chat, voice, it all kind of comes in around Teams. So, what should a company do if they want to get started with Teams or just modern workplace in general? Do you have any suggestions or?
Yeah, what's great is you start with a pilot program,
Mm,
and the pilot programs are so powerful because you pick some of your higher end users, and those who are going to champion it internally, and who also can um, let the rest of the organization know that, okay, this is a way that we can go confidently, not just kind of shooting in the dark. So always start with a pilot program. Move a certain subset of users to Teams and allow them to use it for a couple weeks. Use it to collaborate, store files, um, you know host your meetings there for a while. All of that is going to go a long way, especially when you sit down and it's time to plan how we're going to transition from on-prem to Teams. Now you kind of know and have an idea of what that framework's going to look like, and the conversation becomes a lot easier when you start thinking about the teams and channels and things like that you're going to create to move that way. So I always start my clients with a pilot.
sure. Yeah, and of course, anybody that's interested in finding out more, I'm sure that you'd be open to. You can reach out to Frank on LinkedIn, as well as making sure to email us at info@sikich.com. Just put Sikich Live in the subject line. We'll get to you right there as well. We also have some other events coming up. Frank, do you want to tell us about one here?
Yeah.
Yep.
So one of my colleagues, Jared Cook, is going to be hosting a webinar, and it's focused around Intune and Autopilot.
Mm,
It's the modern PC management for a remote workforce. And what's great about that is if you imagine, and we're experiencing it now as an organization here at Sikich, we used to have offices that we report to, and a large amount of us are working from home now. So managing those devices now has become increasingly difficult. So how do I deploy a laptop to a new employee? Maybe that those you don't have employees come in to the office anymore. We just ship all their equipment to them. Well, Intune and Autopilot are going to allow us to not only continue to force like the group policy type, corporate policies to those devices to keep them secure and compliant, but it's also going to allow us to do with Autopilot, basically pull it out of the box, log into it, and all of the business critical applications, everything that we want you to have to, do your job is going to be installed automatically. So
mhm.
it's something that you can have your machine ordered, procured, shipped to you, and really nobody internally has to touch it besides that employee logging in for the first time. So it's definitely that next step to the modern workplace. Once you're in Teams and all those files are in the cloud, you have the OneDrive for your personal files. The fear, and we all have had that fear of like knowing that my computer is going to die any day now. and what am I going to do and how am I going to get my data back? It's really as easy as, hey, ship me a laptop. When I pop it open, I'm going to be ready to work in 20, 30 minutes,
Yeah.
and I'm going to have all my files. So that's going to be a really cool webinar to watch.
Great. Yeah, register at sikich.com/modern workplace webinar 2021. Thanks, Frank, for being here. Really appreciate it. I don't have any more questions for you. Again, if anybody does want to reach out, feel free to email us at info@sikich.com, subject line Sikich Live, or visit us at sikich.com. Of course, to learn more. Thanks for being here today. We'll see everybody next Thursday at 2:30 Central Time. Thanks for being here. Bye.